We use who when we're referring to the subject of a sentence. Now remember, the subject of a sentence is the thing or the person that the sentence is about. The subject is the person who is doing the action, or it's the thing that the sentence is about. So when we're using the pronoun who or whom to refer to the subject of a sentence, we're going to say who. The chef who prepared our meal was Australian. The chef is the subject of the sentence. So if we have this clause, who prepared our meal, because it refers back to chef, the subject, we're going to use who. Now, we use whom when we're referring to the object of a sentence. The object of the sentence is a person or a thing that the subject is doing something to. Let me see if I can explain that a different way. Notice in this sentence, we enjoyed watching the chef. Okay, we as the subject of the sentence, because that's who the sentence is about. We enjoyed watching, that's the verb for the sentence. That's the action. This action is directed to someone. So we enjoyed watching the chef. The chef is the object because that's who the action is being done to. We call that the object. So if the pronoun is referring to an object, we use whom. Now, remember I explained to you on Friday that there's the right way to speak English, and then there's sometimes the way most people actually speak English. The correct use of who and whom is who when it refers to a subject, whom when it refers to the object. But if you go to the UK, or if you go to North America, Canada, US, or Australia, oftentimes, I would say even maybe half the time or more, you will hear people saying who when they should say whom. Because when the language is spoken, it's spoken informally. And people aren't always so concerned about being absolutely correct about everything. Now, if you were speaking to an English teacher like myself, I would know the difference. You know, I would say, she should have used whom instead of who. But yeah.
Last Friday, you went to Cambodia with whom? And then asked by this also.
It's what?
You went to Cambodia with whom?
Yeah. When let me make sure I understand your question. So, are you asking when I went to Cambodia? Yeah, I could say, yeah, you could ask me the question, with whom did I go to Cambodia? I would say, well, I went by myself.
With whom you went to
Yeah, because when I say, with whom, the reason we say whom is because it is the object of a prepositional phrase. So when the relative pronoun comes after a preposition like with, we're going to use whom. Another way of saying this is Did you go to Cambodia with whom? So we would say whom. But my point is that if you would go to Australia or Canada or anywhere, you might hear someone say, who did you go to Cambodia with? You know, because in informal speech, we sometimes don't worry about saying things the absolute correct way. What I want you to know is the correct way. But I also want you to know that it's okay in informal speech to not worry about that. But we're going to try a couple of exercises here. So, we use which when we're referring to the subject. We also use which when we're referring to the object. When you're using which, you don't have to worry about changing. You don't have to worry about changing. Now, there's an easy way of remembering this. Easy way of remembering this. When you're trying to decide whether to use who or whom or which, if in the sentence you can substitute a he, she, or they in the sentence and it sounds right to you, then you would use who. If you could substitute him, her, or them, then you would use whom. We'll do some exercises and practice this. If you can substitute it, then we use which. Because which refers to objects, who and whom refers to people. Want to practice this? Want to try some and practice it? We'll give it a go. That's a slang idiom. We'll give it a go. You know what I just said? Informal. Remember, I said, do you want to practice this? And then I said, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. It means let's try it. Let's see how we do. Will is a contraction for we will. Give it a go. It means that let's try it. It's an idiom. An idiom. We'll give it a go.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's like let's try it. Let's see how we do. We'll probably make some mistakes, but that's okay. We're just still learning. We'll give it a go. It's informal. Yeah. So, let's practice who, whom, and which, and we'll give it a go. And we're on 34. Now, what we're going to do is we'll see the sentence. There'll be a blank, and we have to decide whether to insert who, whom, 34, page 34 for practice, 34, and we have to decide whether we're going to put in who, or whom, or which. Okay? So, yeah, I think there's room over there, Ma. So let's start, Ben, let's start with you. Number one.
The boy who is with him is his son.
Correct. Ben used who because we're referring to the subject of the sentence. Who refers to boy. Boy's a subject, so we use who. Let's see. Pew, number two.
The chair line are not the right one.
Correct. You used which because which is referring to chairs. Chairs is an object, so we want to use which. Pramaha Suraphet, would you do number 3?
It is the book which you need.
Correct. Which. Which refers to objects. So, Nat, I want you, let's skip to number 6, because I want to explain number 5. Number 5 is kind of an exception.
Number 4, number 5.
Number 6, we're going to do, oh, I'm sorry, number 4. Number 4.
The
Number-
book which I read last night was very interesting.
Correct. And then number 6.
5. Number 5.
Well, we're going to skip number 5.
Skip.
I want to skip number 5 because it's an exception, and I want to go back and explain it a little bit. Okay. So number 6.
This is the kind of exercise which I like best.
Very good. And number 7.
Yes. What trips which we took to Mexico were interesting?
Very good. Are we coming across any words here we don't know? Because earlier today, some people wanted me to explain what interesting means. Does everybody know what interesting means? Interesting, which means that you found it, you enjoyed learning about it. If something's interesting.